Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we get to talk about my two favorite subjects, the science of ecology and the art of storytelling.
Why not? Navarro is a very fine planet, and now that the scum and villainy have been washed away, it's very respectable.
And we're going to talk about them in relation to otters. That is right, my friends. The two most awesome things are going to be made even more awesome by being put together. Lava and otters. Who doesn't love otters? Who can look at those adorable little faces, those little hands like pawsies, those strong swimmer's limbs with the happy Labrador-like tail and not just, ooh! But they are not just cute, they are awesome, they are special, they are predators of a high order. They can devour fish, birds, and frogs, even other members of the weasel family. You know, kind of like a little green guy we know and love. It is no mystery why in every anthropomorphic storybook otters are given a special place. Wind in the Willows, Redwall, and countless other children's books give otters the place of the noble warrior or the respectable fisherman of the community. They are nearly always displayed in a positive light, despite the fact that they are murderous apex predators. They are perhaps the only member of the weasel family to be given this universally positive coverage. People love otters. And what, do you ask, dear viewer? What were these adorably precious otters doing in the sewers of Navarro? Everything, my dear viewers, everything! This is why I have to type out scripts for these videos. Otherwise, my mouth would follow my brain, herring off in every direction. Back to the reoccurring theme in my series on The Mandalorian. Everything means many things. Let's talk about the ecology standpoint first. Remember all the way back to episode 7, The Reckoning? Do you remember that trek across the lava beds? How the show teased us with realistic flying predators by having that raptor snatch up the cooked meat like a scavenger? Then it actually had it carry off one of the blurgs. It teased us with a realistic beast and gave us a fantastic beast. If you haven't seen my video on that, it's a good one and you should go check it out. But what they gave us was an unashamedly fantastic creature. They had one point of fantasy, its lift capacity. But, for the most part, it stuck very reasonably to the rules of ecology, as observed in our own natural world. The creature has the body of a California condor crossed with the venomous lizard. So its apparent hunting strategy, from what we've seen, is to slash larger prey with a fast swooping strike and inject venom, like the lizard, and then retreat to the skies while the larger prey dies. Then, like a condor, the raptor remains safe from the death throes of the animal, and it can wait till the coast is clear and it can come down and feast at its leisure. Those big wings, those are giant surfaces for it to take damage on, and it wants to keep them safe. I noticed that this was good ecology, good creature design, fantastic, yet grounded. A reminder that this is fantasy, but a promise not to test our suspension of disbelief too far. What I didn't think of at the time was the further implications of having a condor venom lizard that close to a human settlement, or rather a sentient, sapient settlement. Navarro has to have a robust wild ecosystem. It has to be mostly wilderness, at least around the city. A scavenging predator like that, a quaternary level consumer, they do not do developed worlds and crowded cities. They need massive herds of prey animals to sustain them. They need wide open skies, big sky country, without much artificial traffic. A common duck may not mind if a few of its population gets whacked taking out a spaceship in flight now and then, but every condor death threatens the entire population of the condors in California. There is a reason Komodo dragons are pretty much limited to a few islands. Creatures that specialize need wilderness. This tells us that Navarro is a very healthy ecosystem. We may not like all that lava. We may think of lava plains as terribly denuded areas. But if those condors are part of a stable population, that means there are massive herds of blurg-sized beasts somewhere on this population that provide them with food. Navarro is a healthy planet, a nice place. Now, that city on Navarro might be a grimy city, but when it comes to where it counts, it's a clean city. Just like the environment around it, it's a healthy city. That is what the lava otters mean. All right, let's flash back in time. A very tiny Betty is bent over her desk during science class. The teacher was patiently explaining something about mammals or whatnot. Very boring. And I was cruising ahead in my book to the interesting stuff. There was a landscape painting a few pages ahead. A small stream trickled out of a giant sewer culvert. It fed a lush marsh full of grass, mice, weasels, all with the sun shining down. The text and legend explained the simple food chain. The sun shines on the grass produces the grain, the mice eat the grain, the weasels eat the mice, all nice and balanced. Except the sewer outlet was pumping toxins into this system. Pollution meant less grass seed, it meant less mice, less mite means no weasels. You see, when an ecosystem becomes unhealthy and collapses, there are still going to be plenty of primary producers like grass. There will still be a lot of primary consumers like mice, but the secondary and tertiary consumers, like the members of the weasel family, they die out. They are predators and scavengers. They need many, many calories to keep bounding along in that happy weaselly way, and with each trophic layer in the food chain, the toxins get more concentrated. So the weasels face the double blow of starvation and poison. At least they do that close to the sewer outlet. The further you get from the sewer's outlet, the more the grass has filtered the toxins out. So you can actually use the reverse logic in this situation too. The more secondary and tertiary consumers that you have living closer into the city, the better that city's waste disposal practices are. The cleaner, the greener the city is. And we have condor Komodo dragons and lava otters, not just right up close to the city, but underneath the city itself. I have had the privilege of working in several wildernesses over my career, and we always kept our eyes peeled for members of the weasel family no matter what else we were doing. That you see, they were a signal species. One sighting of a pine marten or a badger was worth years of data to go towards boosting our spirits and making us feel better about the health of this ecosystem. Even by spending most of my year in these wildernesses, even in the healthiest wilderness, I rarely got to see a weasel in the wildest of places. These are marvelous beasts. They're the top of the food chain. They hunt with speed and lunges. They are very sensitive to ecological change. If something goes wrong, you can't see them. So, if these marvelous beasts can actually be seen living in the city, yes, Navarro is a very nice place indeed. That city is a nice place. Because the lava otters are to the lava river what the condor lizards are to the open plains. Now, this might seem counterintuitive. Have you seen the upper market of Navarro, the streets? But how healthy is a city isn't really determined by how clean its streets are, so much as by its sewers. What made Paris the famous city of romance that led all of Europe into an age of enlightenment and light? Having the first modern sewage system in Europe. Hear me out, hear me out. Think of being a flighty creative artist type. Think of how much easier it is to revel in your enlightened inspiration when you're not having to dodge feces on the road as you're walking down it. Think of how easy it is to be and create delightful things when there's not open sewage flowing down the roads. Go back to the episode. That was a sewer they were in. But what flowed through those tunnels? Lava! Not water, not a slurry of who knows what bodily fluids from who knows what species. Lava. Constantly moving lava, molten rock, liquid fire. And what does fire do? It purifies, it incinerates. Just as symbolically Mando and the other characters were dying and being reborn again through their symbolic trip through the underworld, the dirt and detritus of the city is very literally being consumed by the flames and being repurposed, crafted into something new. Remember, nothing is nothing in this show. The creators didn't have to put any animals in the sewer at all. The lava tube, the droid coded off the ferryman of the river Styx. If all they were going for was creepy, spooky, and dramatic, all the elements were already there. They didn't need to put anything in the sewers, but they did. These creators chose to go to the expense of creating a creature that does not exist on Earth. That was no stock footage of otters that they just green screened over. They chose to render that creature in enough detail that you can see the individual hairs on its tail. This was no smooth-skinned lizard beast like the condor raptors, Komodos. That was half occluded by smoke and made easier to render by darkness. This was a fully rendered fur baby. This was time, care, and most importantly for the House of Mouse, money. Lots of money. There is no animal on Earth that looks exactly like the lava otter. Their behavior is like the North American river otter and the European river otter, but the tail is fluffy like a lemur. Their eyes grow red. These are fully designed and rendered fantasy animals. That takes a lot of time, money, and effort to produce. Believe me, they were put in that sewer for a reason. I have to assume that the one close-up of the otter that noticed them, watched them, was motion capture of a real otter. Its movements were beautiful, natural. I have seen otters in the wild move just like that. Remember how I said I haven't seen very many members of the weasel family? Well, this is one of those rare sightings. The date is early September 2001. The skies were clear and my family was out cruising for silver salmon in Prince William Sound of Valdez, Alaska. Don't get the wrong idea. We weren't rich by any means. The boat was a small wooden dory that had been repurposed by various carpenter uncles. It was older than the oldest of any of the uncles. It had been purchased jointly by 2 families of our little tribe, and everyone pitched in for gas and upkeep. It was the clan vehicle. It was battered, shaped quite a bit like the ferry in the episode, actually. It was worn, it was dirty, but it was our boat, and it was a boat that could get you there and back again safely. On this particular sunny day, I was perched in my corner of the stern, a line in the water, when we happened to pass close to the rocky shore. A family of river otters, a Holt, if you will, had come down from the shore to the shore for the same reason that we had, the silver salmon. There were 2 or 3 mature otters and several smaller near-grown otters. Mom, Dad, an uncle or 2, and all the little cousins. As I looked at the largest one, it paused in its frolicking to look at us. It crouched and followed us with its bright eyes for a moment before rejoining its Holt. For a moment, as its eyes locked with us, I felt a moment of kinship with it. They were here for the same reason that we were. They were coming as a family for much the same reason that we did. Silver salmon are delicious. There was that sense of connection with the greater wilderness, with all of nature in this moment. It was one of the most brilliant memories that I have. And that is what I think the creators were going for. They didn't have to put anything in those lava tubes. And even if they wanted to, the most obvious choice would be rats. That is the traditional creature to put in a sewer. But rats, most especially sewer rats, are the symbol of death and disease and rot, of excess, of waste. They are scavengers that can live anywhere and subsist on anything. Their bodies can absorb poison and they can just keep shambling along. The creators didn't put rats in the sewer of Navarro. The creators put otters in the sewer of Navarro. Happy, bouncy, fluffy, healthy otters. Because, you see, Navarro is a nice place. The lava otters are telling you that. They are secondary consumers. For a whole family to be supported in that level of health and activity means that the primary consumers, the lava mussels or lava fish or lava squid of Navarro's lava rivers, are plentiful and healthy. The primary producers, presumably some sort of extremophile chemoautotrophic bacteria, are abundant and robust. Call it lava grass. Navarro is a very nice place indeed. But the creators didn't just put the lava otters into the sewers. There was that alpha otter, presumably the father of this Holt, the patriarch, if you will. It noticed them. It followed them just as that river otter followed me so many years ago. They in turn looked at it as it looked at them, and a connection was made. Nothing is nothing in this show. What is special about otters? The weasel family, Mustelidae, is the largest family in the entire order of Carnivora. There are a lot of these long little doggies. But of all of them, the only one that I know of that regularly forms social groups is otters. Otters are fierce hunters and often live solitary lives, depending on their species and their particular individual habitats, but they will just as often, again depending on the species or clan, form tight-knit social groups. These Holts, as they are called, prefer to live in special hidden places. More on these hidden places later. The alpha lava otter looked at them and they looked at him. The lava otter connected with the Mandalorian. The lava otters live in the city of Navarro because it is a nice place for a Holt of otters to live. That is why the Mandalorians were there as well. The lava tubes served their needs. The lava otters are connected to the covert of the Mandalorians that lived on Navarro. That's what that scene meant. Now, here's another fun fact about otters. Many people wrongly assume that freshwater otters migrate. Why, you ask? A good question, my perceptive viewer. Freshwater otters do not, in fact, migrate. So I assume lava otters do not either. They do, however, travel a lot. The largest otter holts will separate when driven to by circumstance. And in real life, the circumstance is mostly mating season. Everybody pairs off to make fresh baby otters. And every otter goes its own way. They will travel many miles, thus making folks think they are migrating, but they always come back to where the holt hides. I do not think we have seen the last of the covert of Navarro Mandalorians. They may have scattered, but they will return. They are connected to the lava otters after all. Now remember that I said there was a specific natural science term for the sheltered freshwater places that regular otters like to congregate in their extended family social groups? These sheltered areas that otters like to congregate are called coverts. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So, what do you think? Am I reading way too much into a simple glimpse of a happy little lava otter family? Do you know of any other muscellatids that form family groups? Leave a comment below if you want to correct me, and leave a like if you liked it. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. Peace out, my wonderful viewers, and enjoy a moment of the lovely Celtic traditional song, Otter Holt.